there, and welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Megan Kearns. My pronouns are she, her. I write and podcast for In Session Film. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast, a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and a member of Gallica, the Society of LGBTQ Entertainment Critics.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I do a lot of stuff in and around movies. And my pronouns are he, him, and I'm also a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association.
Woohoo! You sure are.
Yowza.
Huzzah. Yeah. So Evan is off again this week, so it's just the two of us, and we're here to talk about two new movies. We're going to be talking about Wicked for Good and Train Dreams. But before we dive into those, I want to tell you about our Patreon. This week, we do a bonus episode every week, and for $5 a month, you get access to it. And this week, we talked about Karin Kusama's 2015 horror film, The Invitation, which Evan and I have been telling Dave to watch forever now, and he finally did. And so we got to hear his thoughts about that, and we talked about it. And we had a great time, so go check it out. And I don't know why that's funny.
Yeah, no, you have described it as a horror movie, and I see.
Yeah, it is.
And it is, but at the same time, it's more just like, to me, only to me, I speak for myself only. It's just an incredibly effective, eerie, fucking make your skin crawl, make the hair in the back of your neck stand up. Not because anybody's going to disembowel you around the corner, which I know is not what all horror movies are.
Correct.
But I don't know, because this is the kind of thing that I feel like in the worst way could actually happen.
Yeah.
That makes it somewhat like less horrifying and more down to earth. I don't know. So anyway, I know things that are based in reality can be horror movies. I know.
Yes. Well, that's also, I think, a larger conversation, and we're not talking about a horror movie this week. So right. I don't want to totally get into it. But the one thing I will say in response is that horror is very expansive, and many things are horror. And I would argue fear is subjective. And so I would 100% classify it as a horror movie, but others may not. So there it is. But yes, but you should go and check out our conversation on The Invitation, because I think that is a great conversation. But there, it's funny. I said we're not talking about horror movies, and we're not this week, but there are themes in The Invitation that will come up again
in
one of the movies we talk about. So yeah. And so we'll dive more into that in a bit. But anyway, before we totally get into the new movies this week, I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor piece patron, Heather Sachs. Heather, thank you so much for your support.
Well, thank you, Heather. That was that's my Elvis is Dead impersonation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad. And you're good at impersonations.
No, I was actually listening to the song Elvis is Dead earlier today, which is a real song by Living Colour. It just made me...
Okay, I did not know that.
From their second album, Time's Up. And it just, for some reason, there's a bad Elvis impersonation in that, and I just was kind of doing an impersonation of the bad impersonation. But I do really thank you, Heather. That's legit.
That was genuine. The impersonation, is questionable, but that was genuine.
Yeah.
And, I learned something new, so that's always exciting. You learn something new every day, and I like that. So on to the movies for this week. We're going to kick things off with Wicked for Good. I saw this. I got to see this last night. And yeah, this is the second half of the musical adaptation, following up obviously on Wicked. And again, John M. Chu is back to direct. Cynthia Erivo returns as Elphaba, Ariana Grande as Glinda, Jonathan Bailey, Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh, they're all back, all returning. And this picks up a little bit after the first one ends. But let me give you the synopsis from the Universal press release. So, Elphaba, now demonized as the Wicked Witch of the West, lives in exile, hidden within the Ozian forest while continuing her fight for the freedom of Oz's silenced animals and desperately trying to expose the truth she knows about the wizard. Glinda, meanwhile, has become the glamorous symbol of goodness for all of Oz, living at the palace in Emerald City, and reveling in the perks of fame and popularity. And there's more, but it's a little lengthy, and we can just flesh it out. So if you know the musical, you know how this goes, you know what's coming, but there are some additions that are not in the musical that are incorporated from the book, which is similar to how the first movie was, which is what I appreciated, that it is the adaptation of the musical and the music, but there are things incorporated from the book as well. And the biggest inclusion in this from the book is Elphaba's relentless advocacy for animal rights. And that is infused. There are various scenes where you see her trying to rally animals. They're leaving Oz. They're fleeing in droves. They're going into a tunnel that's under the yellow brick road, and she's trying to stop them. And she's like, no, this is our home. This is for everyone. We need to band together and fight. And they're like, no. That ship has sailed. We're getting the hell out of here. And then she sings a new song. There's 2 new songs that are written by Stephen Schwartz, who wrote the songs for the first film, or not first film, for the musical. And she has a new song. And then Ariana Grande as Glinda also has a new song called The Girl in the Bubble, which is actually a really, really poignant song where she's questioning her fame, and she's like, hey, I've basically got everything I could ever want. I have the fame, people love and adore me. I have the hot guy who I'm engaged to, but is this really what I want? Because it's all fake. She's posing as someone who has magic, and she has 0 magical abilities. The hot guy doesn't want her. He wants Elphaba. He's in love with her. And she doesn't have her best friend, who she's probably lusting after, because let's be clear, this is very clearly queer coded, and it's very obvious that Glinda is, I think, madly in love with Elphaba. But even if it's just platonic, her best friend is gone, and she's bereft about this. So it's a great song, and it's a great moment. And Elphaba is all alone, and she's also bereft because she's not with the hot guy that she wants to be with. She doesn't have her best friend, and she's in exile, and everybody hates her. And like anytime she tries to tell people about the wizard, like she comes into the sky and she's writing like in the clouds, our wizard lies. But Madame Morrible, because she's the real villain of this story, changes those words so it makes it look like Elphaba has written Oz should die. And so it makes it seem like she's threatening them. And so there's a lot of propaganda being created, a lot of posters where Elphaba looks sinister and looks like she's trying to terrorize people, when really all she's trying to do is to expose the fraud that is the wizard, and she's trying to set all the animals free. And so she's on this crusade to do that. But she goes to see Glinda, and she kind of almost gets seduced by, not seduced sexually, but like seduced emotionally by the wizard to join forces, because he's like, I'll free the animals. Sure, they'll be free, because the flying monkeys, she wants them free. She doesn't want them captured anymore. And he's like, we'll be a team. We'll be a trio. It'll be great. Everything will be great. And Glinda's like, yeah. She's like, Elfie, I miss you. And remember, we were going to do all these things and have all these big dreams. And Elphaba's like, yeah, okay. And she's cautious, but she's like, sure. And then she goes into a hidden door, and she sees this enormous room with all these cages and all these animals. And she sees her professor, the goat Professor Dillamond from the first movie. And she just is like, nope, this is horrifying. You're an asshole. I'm not doing this. And she goes back on her crusade. And then Fiyero, who is engaged to Glinda, he leaves, and he goes to run off with Elphaba, and the wedding is new because they never have a wedding in the musical, but there's a wedding here, but it doesn't actually happen. And then Glinda is bereft because her man left her, but he was always in love with Elphaba. I know I'm being very flippant about this, but anyway, so all this is happening, and and so on and so forth. And then so Madame Morrible, it is revealed, and again, if you've seen the musical, but it's revealed that Madame Morrible is the one who causes the tornado that brings Dorothy to Oz. And the whole reason is because they want to capture Elphaba, and Glinda, when she's pissed off that and hurt that Fiyero left her for Elphaba, she's like, well, you could use her sister, Nessa Rose, to lure her, and you could start a rumor that she's in danger, and that'll cause her to come. And so Glinda then leaves, and the wizard and Madame Morrible are like, well, that's ridiculous. A rumor's not going to do it. And Madame Morrible is like, I know what'll work. And then you see her and she's like conjuring her magic and she's making a storm happen and it's really windy. And then Dorothy lands. And so killing Elphaba's sister caused by Madame Morrible, Dorothy arriving, Madame Morrible. And so you also see the creation of the Tin Man, because that's Bach, the guy who's in love with Glinda and who Nessa Rose is obsessed with, and she keeps him trapped in her house, and she puts a decree out for all the Munchkins that they can't leave without written permission, just so she can keep him there. And then she tries to do a spell and it goes awry, so Elphaba has to step in and save him with another spell to kind of course correct, and he becomes the Tin Man. And so you see the Tin Man and yeah, it's a mess. And then Fiyero gets captured and they're going to murder him to try to torture him into revealing where Elphaba is. And so Elphaba casts a spell to cause him to be the Scarecrow. And so the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion, the Cowardly Lion also has a connection to Elphaba because it's the lion cub that Elphaba saved from the first film. They're all traveling with Dorothy, and the Tin Man, he's transformed into the Tin Man. He's like crying for bloody murder for Elphaba, which is very different than the Tin Man, from the Judy Garland Wizard of Oz, of course. But so anyway, so all that's happening where Dorothy's like making her way to Elphaba and her castle. And because now she has a castle, Fiyero lets her stay at his family castle, so she has a place to hide out. And yeah, so Dorothy comes and it's the whole water pouring thing. And that's a whole thing. So Elphaba, sacrifices herself, and Glinda and her have a moment before Dorothy arrives and where they sing the song For Good, which it doesn't matter when I hear it or in what part of the song it starts, that always makes me sob. And I think that song is incredible. And it's, of course, they're both beautiful singers, so it's beautiful here. And then, surprise, Elphaba, again, if you have seen the musical, it was all a ruse. She does not die from having water poured on her. She has survived, and her and Fiyero, who's now the Scarecrow, they run off together. But Glinda doesn't know that. Glinda thinks her friend is dead. And so Glinda is like devastated. Glinda is now the leader of Oz. She forces the wizard to leave, and she arrests Madame Morrible, and she allows all the animals to come back. So she's trying to be good for real, not just in name and only. And so that's how it ends, where Elphaba has left Oz and she's in this kind of like in-between land with Fiyero, and Glinda is now the leader and is trying to set things right. And they've both been changed for good. And that's obviously where the title comes from. And so this is a very uneven film. I loved the first Wicked. Loved. I adore it. I think it's incredible. I think it's wonderful. And this has its moments. This achieves that, like it gets to that in certain scenes, like the scene For Good, where Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande have an incredible duet. I think the scenes that the two of them are together, they have a magical, magnetic chemistry. And I think the film really shines when the two of them are together. I like the inclusion of the two new songs. Paul Tazewell's costumes are absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous. They're incredible. I also could listen to that man talk about fashion for hours. He's incredible. I could. It's great. But yeah, so there are some really great things here. And I love the inclusion of the animal rights element, because that was such a big part of Elphaba's personality and her character, and especially a big part of the novel, which I love. And the musical kind of drops that angle. And so I'm really glad to see it included here in this adaptation. But it's very uneven, and whenever the film is trying to focus on really serious issues like Nessa Rose's death, or the animal rights angle, or the angle of oppression or fascism or anything like that, whenever it's trying to do something serious, there's something kind of, it feels too fluffy. It feels too glib. It doesn't quite land the way I feel like it should. It doesn't feel like there's enough gravity to it. And so I know
Sorry, it took me a minute.
I realized that as I was saying, I was like, oh, but yeah, so I feel like that kind of is a drawback of this film, is that the serious moments, aside from Elphaba and Glinda being together, they don't quite land as well or as impactfully as I feel like they should. But I will say overall, I liked this. I wasn't blown away by it the way I was the first film. I still liked it. Did I cry? Absolutely. It's still a visual feast. I enjoyed it, but it's just not as good as the first one, but still enjoyed it. And judging by the audience that I was with, people were going gaga and absolutely enamored with it. So there we are.
Well, I hate to break this to you, but you didn't spoiler piece me into wanting to see it.
I didn't think so, because I know you don't like musicals.
Well, also, I know enough about Greg Maguire's novel. Is that his name, Gregory Maguire?
Yes. Yep.
I know enough about the novel, and I know enough about the musical to know that they're relatively, I mean, they're not completely divergent, but there are lots of changes.
There are a lot. Yeah.
Lots of changes.
Yes.
So much so that I think you would probably call the stage musical a loose adaptation of the novel, right?
Yeah. I would say that. Like, yeah. I mean, the elements are there, but it's tonally very different. There are a lot of narrative choices that are different. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I have really no interest in the story of The Wizard of Oz at all, except the more I read about L. Frank Baum and the more you learn about the original novels is that they're fucking crazy. So, and I just sort of come to appreciate the fact that, have you read the novel Wicked?
I have, yeah.
Okay,
I love it.
So how it ends in, like, political turmoil as opposed to the way this ends. So, I just think that's all kind of fascinating. So it does make me sort of want to, if not read, then maybe audio CD the book.
I mean, I highly recommend the book. I think the book is great. To be fair, I haven't read the other books in the series.
There's like 3 or 4 other ones, right?
Yeah, there are. But when I read this, it was the only one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's an incredible book. I love it. But yeah, it is different. It is very different. But I think I love both. I love the musical. I love it a lot, even though it's a different tone. And I love the book. I love the movie adaptation. Yeah. And this, I don't love this. Maybe if I watched it more, I would. Sometimes the more I watch something, the more I have an affinity for it. I have some issues with it, but yeah, but I still really like this.
Okay.
Just because I like the story so much. And
Sure.
I like the themes. I love the character of Elphaba. I think she's incredible. So yeah.
Yes.
But I do highly recommend the book. So if you're thinking about reading it, I would say yes, read it.
Yeah, well, I've been unpacking, my house, and
Yes.
been coming across all my books. I'm like, forgot I had this. There's
Surprise.
just so many books that I haven't read or I've read, like 100 pages out of 400 and be like, okay, going to take a little break, start something else, never come back to it. So I'm going to try to just do one. And I've never done this before, but I'm going to try to do one fiction and one nonfiction at a time, so that I can, or alternate between fiction and nonfiction, maybe is better.
That's usually what I do. I do like one fiction and then I'm also reading a nonfiction at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. But all the books I want to read, they're so long. So, and I am not
a problem.
I am not a fast reader, despite, reading a lot. So, I'm a very fast typist, but I'm not a fast reader.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a slow reader too, and I hate it because I'm like, I want to read more, and if I was faster, I could read more.
Yeah.
But then again, I know people who are fast and they don't retain anything, and I'd rather retain what I'm reading. So
I wish I could be person with a truly photographic memory and just like look at a page and then turn it and I've read that'd be great. Anyway.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. We'd all love to be Goodwill Hunting a little bit. Except for the abusive childhood. Anyway, moving on.
Well, yeah, that was terrible. But the rest of it, yeah. Although maybe that's its own curse, Who knows? I don't know. It's always probably a drawback, but
who knows?
But for reading purposes, yes, I completely agree. All right. So let's talk about Train Dreams, which is a movie we both saw. And Train Dreams is in select theaters now and starting November 7th. And then it's going to be on Netflix November 21st. And let me give you, first of all, let me tell you who's in it. So it's Joel Edgerton. He stars in it. And it also has Felicity Jones. And you have Carrie Condon in a small role, William H. Macy in a small role. It's narrated by Will Patton. And the director is Clint Bentley. And he wrote the screenplay along with Greg Quidar. And it's based on the novel by Dennis or Denis Johnson. And let me give you the log line. Based on the beloved novella, Train Dreams is the moving portrait of Robert Grenier, a logger and railroad worker who leads a life of unexpected depth and beauty in the rapidly changing America of the early 20th century. So that is all true, but that's a very vague description of what happens. And, this starts off, and that is exactly correct. He is a logger. And he's just kind of going about, logging, and he doesn't really have direction in his life. He's going about logging, not really doing anything. And then he meets Felicity Jones, his character, and immediately becomes enamored and smitten with her. And his friend brings him to a church, and that's where they meet. And she introduces herself, and he's so taken with her and with the fact that she came up to him, and within 3 months, they become inseparable, and they're already planning their life together. And it's so cute. They put stones mapping out the house they want and where the bedroom's going to be and how they want it to face the small river. And they just have all these dreams and these lovely conversations about life and what they want. But he's away a lot. And because his logging job takes him far away, so he has to go where the logging work is, and so he'll go and come back and go and come back. And they have a baby, Katie, and super cute. And he is utterly delighted. He loves being a dad. He loves being a husband. They have an incredible relationship, and he is just smitten with life, smitten with her, smitten with life, loves it. But then again, he has to leave. And every time he leaves, he's really upset to be away from his family. And we keep seeing him, and he witnesses these awful things. One of the things he sees is a guy who is an Asian American immigrant, and he is, or actually I don't know if he's an immigrant, but he's Asian American, and he is captured by several other men and carried off. And Robert's like, what did he do? Where are you taking him? What's going on? And then they just fling him off of the bridge, the road that they're building a train on. And it's horrifying. And so there are these moments of horror, and there are men who die because of trees falling and men who have accidents. And so these awful things. And so he starts to feel like something is following him, something terrible is going to happen. And he thinks he's going to die, and he thinks he's going to be away from his family, and he wants to get back. So they have this plan. They talk about it, where they're going to start a farm. And it's going to be a small farm. They already have a small farm, but they're going to expand the farm. And he's just got to work one more logging job, one more year, and then that's it. Then they're going to
do this one case before I retire.
One final job. Got to do this one last heist, and then that's it. And Gladys, that's her name. I could not think of his wife's name to save my life. So yeah, so Gladys already has a small farm with chickens, and so they're going to expand it. And he's going to open a lumber business, and because that's the problem too, is that he's tried to find work around home, but he can't find any work. He can find odd jobs, but nothing really sustainable. So one more logging job. And then that's it. They're going to do it. And so, of course, because this has been heavily foreshadowed, something terrible is going to happen. I was not entirely prepared for what that terrible thing was, which is he comes back and he's on a train and everybody's like, what the hell is that? What's that? And you see all these billowing clouds and it's smoke and there was an enormous forest fire and his house is wiped out and Gladys and Katie are nowhere. And it's very clear that they have died, but he doesn't know that for sure. And so he is bereft. I talked about, people being bereft in the last movie, that he's more bereft because, he doesn't know where his family is and his house is gone. And he is sleeping on the land because he thinks they could come back any moment. And so he's waiting for them. And there's this really lovely gentleman in town who Robert sometimes brings, odd jobs to. He'll do these odd jobs and the guy will pay him money because he's a merchant. He owns a store. And the guy comes to him and gives him some food and checks up on him, makes sure that he's okay. And of course he's not. So yeah, so he's basically just waiting for them. And then he eventually starts to find other work and he starts to do kind of odd jobs and he gets, because somebody dies, he gets a carriage and some horses. So he starts carting people around town and kind of learning more about various people. And then he meets Carrie Condon's character, who is a forest ranger, and she lives in a watchtower. And they have some lovely connections and conversations about life. And he finally opens up about the death of his wife and his child. And she opens up about the death of her husband. And they talk about grief. And it's really lovely. And yeah, and then there's a young woman who shows up outside his door in the middle of the night. And he's utterly convinced it's his daughter. And this girl has a broken leg. And so he sets it and she sleeps through the night, but then when he wakes up, she's gone. And again, he's devastated, but he stays there because he's convinced she's going to come back, because he never rebuilt the house fully, but he did build a small cabin in the same place, in the same land. And he doesn't ever really leave because he keeps waiting for them to come back and waiting for his daughter to come back. And so the film ends and the narration talks about his death and how he had a very quiet death and he didn't have any heirs. But where the film leaves off on is that Robert has gone, he started going into the city to kind of just explore and wander around. And he sees on a TV, he sees a man in space, which kind of blows his mind. And then he goes up in a plane and the film ends and he finally has a sense of how everything is connected, which is something that a couple characters have said throughout the film to him. Okay. So Dave, what did you think?
Well, I mean, I loved it. I think that if you want to have a movie where you have a character who doesn't speak much, who is obviously intelligent and thoughtful, but not book smart, you hire Joel Edgerton because he has one of the most expressive faces and he can do sad in a way that is melancholy without being morose, if that makes sense.
Yes. You literally, were you in my brain? I feel like you just stole the words from my mouth. Yes. I was just thinking he's melancholy, but not morose. Anyway, please continue.
And I just found this movie more or less from beginning to end heartbreaking.
Oh my God, yes.
Because, there's, I identify with somebody who's never quite sure what his purpose is or what his role is or where he belongs or who he belongs to. And so I'm not going to, besmirch memories or, speak ill. But, when you grow up in a house where nothing you do is good enough, at some point you start to think, well, what is the purpose of whatever I do? And I think he handles it with a lot more aplomb than I have.
Mm.
But it's very quiet and it's very I mean, this entire movie is like elegiac from beginning to end. And I thought several times while I was watching this, I don't think that you saw it, or maybe you did and Evan didn't see it, or Evan saw it and you didn't see it. I don't remember. Came out 6 months ago or a year ago, The Life of Chuck with Tom Hiddleston.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't seen it yet.
Based on that Stephen King story, and written and directed by the guy who only does Stephen King movies now. I can't remember his name. And it used to be Frank Darabont. Now it's this guy.
It's so funny. I was like, I don't think Frank Darabont wrote that. But that's why I immediately thought it was Frank Darabont. That's so funny.
Oh, what's that guy's name? I think he also did Dr. Sleep.
Mike Flanagan.
Yes, Mike Flanagan. That's right. And so, and that is like now this movie has some money and it looks very good, but I was watching it thinking to myself, what, this is not like, this is so bizarre because it feels like, I think I finally realized that Netflix dramas are basically mid-budget period piece movies from the 80s. It's like The River with Mel Gibson, or what else am I thinking of? Of course, now that I've said The River with Mel Gibson,
I was like, I don't know what the hell The River with Mel Gibson is, so I have no idea.
Oh, it's him and it's Sissy Spacek, and it's about they're farmers.
Oh yeah, no, I know the movie you're talking about now. Yeah.
And it's
I try not to think about him. So
well, right. And in a way, it's kind of like it's like when you get a drama that's a serious drama on Netflix. I feel like they all kind of want to be sort of Terrence Malick adjacent, but with the budget of The River starring Mel Gibson, which is to say,
this definitely has a Terrence Malick feel to it.
For
absolutely.
Sure. I mean, the only thing that it's missing is long. Well, it's missing women dancing for no reason, which I don't remember that in Days of Heaven in particular, but it's in every other fucking movie of his since. And it definitely has that spiritual is not the right word, because I don't think this movie is going for that. This movie
Soulful?
This movie is more interested in like existentialism in a way.
Yes. Yes.
And because and without ever using the word existentialist, I mean, that's what this whole movie is about. This man trying to think about what is the reason that he is here? How is he tied to everything? Who am I if I am not tied to my wife and child?
Yep.
It's forget about the Terrence Malick and the Netflix and the mid-budget whatever. There are parts of this movie that I'm watching it and I'm like, God, this Netflix movies they all look a certain way, even when they look really good. And this movie looks really good.
Oh, I don't agree with that at all. I think they all look different.
I think part of the reason I think that though is because there's like, most of this is done. Well, obviously like the cabin is a set. And the area outside the cabin is a set, but then when you have the wide shots, they are, clearly they recreated the interior of the cabin and the, a little bit of the exterior on a soundstage, but then they do have really big wide shots in the countryside in the Pacific Northwest. And it looks wonderful, but there's that one scene where he's standing and he's in the middle of the frame and the tree falls, maybe 100 yards in front of him. And it's just like, you can see like the outline, like old, you remember how when there would be things superimposed in the 80s and it would be good, but not quite good, or you watch it now and it's not as good as you remember it. You can just sort of see the white outline. You can kind of see the white outline during the big tree fall down in this movie. It was a real bummer.
I did not see that.
I saw it.
I believe you. I'm just saying I did not see this, and I was watching this very close up.
Yeah. So that's like, those are my only really negative things to say about it. But I really, I think one, this movie has a lot of things in it that you think that I would not normally like. I am not a fan of voiceover. I wouldn't say as a rule. We'll paraphrase Dr. Beckman. It's more of a guideline than a rule. I don't love
most voiceover sucks.
Most voiceover is terrible because people don't know how to use it correctly.
Correct.
And I'm not sure that I love it here, but at the same time, you could do a lot worse than have Will Patton read your voiceover.
Oh my God. I love Will Patton.
And
He's so good.
Well, the thing, I didn't really read anything about this before. I knew that it was set when it was set and that it moved through a man's life. And I knew it stars Joel Edgerton. I didn't know anything else about it. Same. So the first thing you hear in this movie is you hear Will Patton's voice. And I'm like, it's fucking Will Patton. And it's just the first thing I think, of course, because I've seen a million movies and he's in a million movies it's like, oh my God, it's Will Patton. And I just wish that I could still sometimes see a movie where I don't immediately know, someone's voice or their speech or their mannerisms or like the glint in their eye. And it took me out of it for a moment, but then I got right back into it. The voiceover toes this line, and it toes it really well between spelling everything out for you, but also it doesn't quite spell everything out for you, and it's very good. And I can't imagine how difficult this was to do, to write it this way. It makes it sound like the narrator is just expressing Robert's internal thoughts without it sounding also like an explanation for what's going on around him. It's really kind of amazing.
I could not agree more.
And also, I don't know if I've ever seen William H. Macy be this good. I mean, he's so... I didn't even realize it was him at first because he doesn't sound like him.
Same. Like, he disappears into this role. It's like, incredible.
You realize pretty quickly, oh, it's him. He's just got a beard and he's had a beard before, whatever. But he's older, which I haven't seen him in a while.
But we just saw him in The Running Man.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That's right. I don't know. In my head, I made you saw that too. That terrible film. It's not. But anyway, he's in that, but he's very William H. Macy.
Yeah, and he is just not. And I've always just thought, William H. Macy is a really good actor, but he's not a great actor. And today, no,
I'm thinking about it. I'm pondering it.
Today, I became William H. Macy as a great actor. Or yesterday.
If you had any doubts about it, this film would cement that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just such a beautiful performance. And I like how at first his character seems kind of brash and kind of a know-it-all.
Yes.
But then it's revealed, over time that he's thinking, just like a lot of people do when they get older, he's thinking more about what has he done? Where do I fit in? Whose lives have I touched?
Yeah.
Did I do good? And all that sort of stuff. And then the scene later when that prospector comes to sit down, not prospector, that woodcutter comes to sit down next to him at the campfire, and Robert recognizes him, calls out his name, and the guy says that.
God.
And then he doesn't know that Arn is dead. And then you're like, wait a minute, did he even know Arn? Is he losing his mind? What's going on? And then Robert's, he can't tie his shoes. And Robert says, would it be okay if I help you tie your shoes? And he's like, oh, thank you. I'd really appreciate it. And Robert ties his shoes, and he just says something like, my hands don't work so well today. And it's just like, God, this fucking movie, what are you doing to me? And then he dies alone, and the cabin, he becomes a part of the wilderness, lying in his bed.
Yeah.
I never expected, and I did not want him to have a romance with Carrie Condon, but I did expect them to see each other maybe once more.
Yeah, I know. I kept hoping. It was funny because in the beginning of the film, they say how far he went and he never got to see the ocean, and he went east of Montana, and she was from Montana. So I kept thinking oh, maybe he travels with her or something. And nope.
Yep.
They do not see each other again, at least not on screen that we see.
And just the whole thing at the beginning, he doesn't know, the earliest memory he has is being 6 years old, riding on the train, and his parents are dead, and he's going to be
He doesn't know why.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And through it all, he maintains this, just sort of decency that he has no good reason to have. He just is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really speaks a lot to his innate intelligence that isn't necessarily expressed through your book smarts or things like that. But he's a thoughtful person.
Yes. Yes, he is.
I love that his wife is thoughtful and that she's like better at hunting than he is. And and he likes that.
I love that too. Yeah.
I thought we were going to get away with him not imagining the exact moments of their death, but he does. Thankfully, you don't really see the horror. It's just implied, but that poor baby.
I know, it's gutting nonetheless.
Yeah. Anyway, what did you think?
Oh, I loved this. I absolutely adore this. I think this is incredibly beautiful. I had to stop at a certain point, and I don't remember what point it was because I was crying through most of this. But there was one point I was sobbing so hard I had to pause the movie and get up and like blow my nose, like give myself a moment, and because I was like, I don't want to stop it too long because that almost feels unfair to the film. But I had to stop for a moment. And then I come back and I'm like, and then I go downstairs in my house to like make dinner, and my roommate's there, and my roommate's like, are you okay? Did you watch a really sad movie? And I was like, yes. And I just start sobbing again. And like just thinking about this movie has me like on the verge of tears.
Yeah.
Because it's sad. Like everything we're describing is sad, of course. But it's not just that. This movie is sad, but it's beautiful. It's achingly beautiful.
Yes.
And what it has to say about life and our place in the world and our place in our life and the questioning of that and how we're all interconnected, which is something that Carrie Condon's character says, and it's something Arn, William H. Macy's character, says too.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful and it's so profound. And this film is so thoughtful. And yes, like Robert is a thoughtful character, absolutely, but this film is so thoughtful. And it's so moving and it's so powerful. And I felt humbled watching this. And I feel this movie's contemplative. I feel contemplative about myself, my own life, my place in the world. What am I doing with my life? Like it kind of just caused like this cascade of all of these emotions and all of these thoughts. And it was a really overwhelming experience. And I think this is just beautiful. I love Joel Edgerton's performance. I could not agree with you more. I think he's so exceptional in this. This is such an incredible performance. I think it's one of the best I've seen this year. It's so good. And I love the cinematography. I'm glad I didn't see the little outline that you saw, but I do think the cinematography is gorgeous. I loved how so many things were framed in doorways and windows, which very much lends, obviously, a searcher's element. It also reminded me a lot of Kelly Reichardt's First Cow, which uses the natural landscape, but also does a lot of framing through windows. It lends a really painterly quality to the frame that I love. I loved the writing. I loved the narration as well. And I'm with you, Dave. I usually can't stand narration either. There are certain exceptions to that rule. And I think this is an exception. I think it is used so beautifully here and it feels very lyrical and poetic. And I really I love it. And also Will Patton, he's so great.
Yeah. And
I think Carrie Condon is great. I think William H. Macy is fantastic here. I've never seen him be better.
Never seen him like this.
No. And you're right. That character does start off like such a dick, but then it's like, oh no, he's really thinking deep thoughts and he's really opening up and connecting with Robert. And it was just incredible to witness. And I think that's the thing. I just wanted to follow Robert around and see him interact with more people and see how he navigates the world. And the fact that he is haunted, not just by Gladys and Katie's death, of course, but the fact that he's haunted by his fellow logger coworker who was murdered, and that has haunted him his whole life, is so tragic. And because he feels like clearly he didn't do enough or he should have done more. And then there's something else that I love that's said that's in the narration early on when he's a kid. And it's when he's a child and he saw Chinese immigrants rounded up and deported. And it says Granier was baffled by the casualness of the violence. And something about, it's very, very simple prose, but it just like just hit home, like, oh my God. And that's what this movie is, just the juxtaposition of these incredibly beautiful moments of at like the sun at like magic hour, and you're seeing these beautiful landscapes and these gorgeous trees and flowers. And then it's just like, oh, somebody's shot. Oh, somebody dies from a tree. Oh, somebody, like, but it's like all in the fabric of life. Like, oh my God, this movie just devastated me. I loved it.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Also another parting gift to me when the credits rolled. Theme song by Nick Cave. I was just, and the whole time I'm like, God, this music is really good. It reminds me of like,
you know who did the music, right?
Yes, Bryce Dessner from the National.
National. I loved this score, and I love the National.
I know, and there are parts of this score that like they're a little bit bouncy for me, but I'm like, but it bounces in the right way, and I haven't listened to the National in a long time because I just kind of, like a lot of bands, I was with them for a while and then kind of fell out with them, and they never put out anything where I was like, this sucks, but I just, you start listening to other stuff, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it's funny, I kind of recognized I just recognized the sort of, what's the right word? The lilt of the music.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's also funny because his brother, also in the National, Aaron Dessner, did like the last, not the current Taylor Smith album, but like the two before it that were huge or whatever. So they're all doing different stuff, the National. Anyway.
And it's all great.
Yeah. Anyway, I think Joel Edgerton and William H. Macy will be on my list this year, and this movie will be too. I don't know.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I just kind of, so funny. I just know which kind of movies I'm going to connect with. I saw when we got the first email about this, I think there's many different posters that I've seen, but this one in particular it's a picture of Joel Edgerton, with like Train Dreams above it. And it's kind of like taken from that same angle when he and Felicity Huffman are like lying in the grass together right before they get married. And it just says, Joel Edgerton, Train Dreams. And I was like, seeing this movie.
That's so funny because, I had a similar reaction, but not that poster. For me, it was a different poster. It was the poster. And this is taken as scene from the movie too. I don't know if you've seen this one. You've obviously seen the movie, but I don't know if you've seen this poster. It's the one where his head, you just see Joel Edgerton's like face in the foreground, but it's all the way at the bottom. And then you see like the trees and like the train track behind him.
Yes.
And I was like, the use of, I don't want to say negative space, but kind of the use of negative space. I'm like, I am in this. So I was in just on that visual too, but a totally different visual.
Yeah. And this is like the kind of movie that, like, if you do any writing yourself, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, narrative, whatever, this is just like, I have to be better. I've got to, like, if I can't sort of elicit these emotions out of this rather simple, and not in and I don't mean simplistic. I hate it when people use those words interchangeably. In a rather simple way of telling its story. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Get it together, man. Something else thinking about, you're absolutely right. I think that's why I often feel stymied as a writer, because I'm like, well, I'm never fucking gonna be as good as that.
Yeah.
Because it's just so amazing. But something else about this that I was thinking about the writing, is when Robert's talking to Carrie Condon's character, and he says, when they're sharing their grief, and he says, sometimes the grief feels like it's going to swallow me, or he says something to that effect. And he's like, and then other times it feels like it's happening to somebody else. And again, it feels so simple, like such an obvious observation, but again, so profound, and like, yep, you just nailed that. And I feel like as observational as Robert is as a character, this film is observational too. And
For sure.
it makes me want to read the novella, but then I'm also like, oh God, I don't know if I can handle it, because
Yeah.
because if this destroyed me, I'm like, well, the book too, probably.
Probably. I mean, who knows how closely it sticks to the text.
That's true. That is true.
So, yeah.
But I also wanted to say, since we've been lavishing praise on the male actors, rightfully so, I will say I'm not the biggest Felicity Jones fan. I think she's incredible here.
She is. She transcends her Felicity Jones in this.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be really honest, I think the only thing I've ever really liked her in was Rogue One, because I really like Rogue One a lot, and I think she's really good in that. But she's incredible here.
Yeah.
She's really great.
I feel like
really,
she's one of those people, it's like, well, I should like her, but what has she done that's like really just fucking great?
And I feel terrible saying that, but I'm like, I don't know, but here she is really great. And Carrie Condon is, I don't want to take her for granted, but she's always great.
Yeah.
Always, in everything. And she has a really small role here, but it's a really impactful role, and she's great.
Yeah. I think that I agree with you on Felicity Jones. I think she's truly excellent in this.
Yeah.
In such a quiet, just all of these performances are just so I mean, this is such a strange way to put it. You're just like replete with understatement.
Yes. Yes.
It's just like,
yeah, this is such a restrained film, and you're right, these performances match that.
Yeah. Oh my God, the ending when he says he sees himself in the mirror for the first time in a decade, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. Every fucking line of dialogue or line of narration in this movie makes me want to sob. Like, what the fuck?
I know. Oh, or how about when he finds the dogs, when he ends up adopting the dogs because they come to his like campsite where he ends up rebuilding the house.
Yeah.
Or not the house. It's like a cabin. It's like a smaller version of what the house was before. But anyway, and referencing his conversation with Gladys when they're talking about like, is a baby smarter than a dog? And she's like, well, a puppy could take care of itself and knows a lot of words. So technically, yes, I think a puppy is smarter than a baby, which was kind of a fascinating conversation to hear.
Yeah.
And then, later he's like, how many words do you know? And I'm like, oh my God.
I know, you're calling that back? Oh, Jesus.
Right? I'm like, oh my God. And then he's taking care of these dogs. But, which makes me think something you had said about this character is he's so gentle, he's so tender.
Yeah.
And it really is, it's a really radical act to remain gentle and kind and tender and empathetic in such a cruel world that's also such a beautiful world. And you're so right, like you said something like he doesn't have any reason to be decent, and he's had all of these horrific things happen, and he could become bitter, he could become angry, and it would be very understandable. And, no shame to anybody who does feel bitterness or anger when tragedies strike. But he remains this gentle, kind person. And it's just like, oh, I just want to sob all over again.
Yeah. Well, maybe this is a
this
good point.
movie.
Good place to wrap it up so that we can go cry off mic.
I know. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Well, let's do a recap. Wicked is in theaters as of November 21st. And yeah, sure, see it. I mean, it's not as good as the first one. So, maybe your mileage may vary. If you love Wicked, you're probably already excited to see it. So, I don't want to deter you from seeing it. I just wish it was as good as the first, but it's all right. It's fine. It's whatever. I still was moved by it, and I still cried. And Train Dreams is in theaters now, and it's going to be on Netflix as of Friday, November 21st. And I think it is safe to say we both would highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Yep.
Yeah. Get ready to sob your face off. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is incredible. So we want to give a huge thank you to our editor, Otto Clamor. Otto, thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Otto.
You can find Spoiler Piece Theater anywhere you get podcasts. We're all over the place. And you can also find us on social media. We're at Spoiler Piece on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Letterboxd, all the places. So come say hello, come say hi. Let us know which of these movies you liked, which ones you're excited to see. We always want to hear from you. If you like the show, please consider rating and reviewing us. That helps us get the word out, which is always cool. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. We'll take you to your preferred platform of choice. You can also just rate us directly on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out. And if you really, really like the show, and consider becoming a patron if you're not already. For $5 a month, you get access to our weekly bonus episodes. You also get our back catalog of hundreds of episodes. And this week, we talked about the 2015 horror film, the psychological horror film, The Invitation. And we had a great conversation talking about that. And it's a film I love. And so I was excited to talk about it. And yeah, it's a good time. So, and I'm trying to think what else. Oh, merch. We have our merchandise. If you go to our website, spoilerpiece.com, it will take you to our TeePublic store where you can get all kinds of goodies with our logo on it, mugs, pillows, sweatshirts, t-shirts, the whole shebang, notebooks, magnets, all the goodies. So go check that out if you wanna, show off hopefully one of your favorite podcasts.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for listening. My name is Megan Kearns. I write and podcast for In Session Film. I'm a co-host of the Slashers podcast, member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, and a member of Gallica. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at Opinion S World, or on Instagram and Letterboxd at The Opinion S.
And I'm Dave Riedel. I write about movies. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. And if you want to follow me on the social media, because media is plural. Anyway, I'm on Instagram, Letterboxd. I'm Dave Sees Movies on most things, and I'm David M. Riedel on Blue Sky. I don't know why I did that. Just because I wanted to have my full name somewhere, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's where I am. Fucking look for me.
Fucking look for me and follow me, or else.
That's right. Or else I'll cry about Train Dreams in your ear.
Oh my God, dude, it's so sad. I love this movie so much.
It's so great.
It's so great. It's amazing. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.